Hi guys, welcome back to lesson number 3 for the GDA. Now guys, today what we're going to focus on is our primary economic activity of agriculture in the GDA. So if you pop over as far as page number 9 in your notes, and we're going to go from there. Now, the first thing we're going to look at is our questions as usual. Now guys, just to point out, I know we're not in class, but I do want you to go to the back set of your notes and run down through all the questions prior to doing this, or even do it topic by topic, i.e. primary, secondary, tertiary, urban areas, and so on. Okay, so just to point that out to yourselves. Now, to start off on page number 17, we're first of all going to look at the question, the 2017 question that I have here. So what it says, and I want you to have a highlighter and a pen, it says, examine that, highlight the words physical characteristics, circle the S. Now, take a second, write down your 4 headings for physical characteristics. Now, once you have that done, what you should have down, and pause me if you don't, is climate, relief, drainage, and soils. So there are 4 physical characteristics, okay? Now, that has influenced the development of, highlight 1 or underline the word 1, primary economic activity. Now, if we're asked for one primary economic activity, we're going to go for agriculture. We're going to do fishing as a secondary later on. In a highlight the word Irish region, under that write down the GDA. So really what this question is looking at here is it's looking at how our physical characteristics, doesn't specify which, has influenced agriculture in the Greater Dublin area, i.e. Dublin, Wicklow, Meath and Kildare. Okay, so make sure you know that you can start any essay off with the counties it includes. Now, if you, I suppose, pop back, have a look at any of them questions, you'll see each of them is worth 30 marks. What 30 marks means to us is 15 significant relevant points and 15 minutes. Now, don't forget your easy ways of getting your points, i.e. for saying words like agriculture is going to be 2 marks. You're well trained on that anyways. This question here can come up on question 4, 5 or 6 on your paper. So that's where our regional geography lies. Now have a look at the 2014 question for a second. So that's on page number 9. So here, account for the development of, highlight the word agriculture, in a highlight the word Irish region, above it pop down GDA, that you have studied. With reference to, highlight the word to, 2 of the following. Here on this 2014 question, they give you 2 physical characteristics. They give you relief and climate, and they also say market. Now, let's just think for a second. Let's recap on what we had in our previous lesson. When we speak about relief in the GDA, we say the relief in the GDA is a sheltered estuary, low-lying sheltered estuary, undulating to the north and west. So it's predominantly low-lying, okay? Now, there's very few upland areas, but our example of one was the Wicklow Mountains. Now, we mentioned the Wicklow Mountains. We said in points it's over 1,000 metres tall. We said pastoral sheep farming occurs there, but unfortunately is not very profitable, okay? So there are just some points on our relief you could be jotting down on page number 9. With regards to climate, we said the GDA has a cool temperate oceanic climate. We said it's drier and warmer than any other region in the Republic of Ireland. Now, what we know about it, we know our temperatures. We could mention, in particular for agriculture, what's important is our hours of sunshine, 4 hours per day on average. Our growing season, 270 days per year, helps crops ripen earlier, and also the fact of low ground frost, which means crops aren't killed off early, okay? The last thing here, and I do want you to jot this down beside market. Now, the GDA has a very good market, okay? So you have a market of 1.9 million people within the region, okay? That's a large, affluent market. Now, you'll hear me saying the word affluent quite a lot. It means wealthy, okay? So it's a large, affluent market of 1.9 million people where basically we're saying farmers, okay, can sell their produce. Now, not only can we sell our produce to the individuals in the GDA in the Greater Dublin area, but also because Dublin is a nodal point with good communication links, we can transport this produce anywhere across the Republic of Ireland to over 4.4 million people. Now, it is important to mention here, and we'll see this later on, with regards to market, we also have a market of over 500 million people in the EU. We have no border taxes, no tariffs, so we can transport our produce without that kind of heightened cost for our consumers. Now, obviously in your exam, you can also mention the uncertainty of Brexit. So what is going to happen there? But obviously keep that one a little bit brief. Have a look at the 2008 question. A little bit different, I just chose three very different ones. It says, examine the development of highlight one of primary economic activities. Now circle the S there on activities. So they're asking you for more than one primary economic activity. So we're going to go with agriculture, so pop agriculture down, but also pop down fishing. So our first one, our main one, is agriculture, but we're also going to do half an essay, 7 SRPs for fishing. In a highlight the words Irish region, pop down GDA. Now you'll notice the marking scheme is there, have a glance through it. After that, I want you to pop over as far as page number 10. Now, maybe take a second, once you've done all that, with page number 10, pause the video, pop down through it, have a read down through it, just to get in your main points. Now, once you have that done, what you're going to realise is I've brought a huge amount of information from our physical characteristics, anything I really could, and placed it in this essay that was directly related to agriculture. So while it is mentioned in the essay, I'm going to try to focus on the new points for us. So you will hear me talking about them, the characteristics of climate, relief, soils, and drainage, but I'm going to focus on our new points in relation to agriculture. Now, you have space on page number 12, pop over to page number 12, and then we're going to be popping down what's on the board here. Now on page number 12, we're going to be looking at our crops, market gardening and pastoral farming. After this, we're going to look at the farm and the farmer, okay? So we're going to keep a nice structure with it. Now, as mentioned previously, and the way your essay starts off, is the fact that the GDA, agriculture in the GDA, is well developed and highly productive, okay? So really, really well developed and really highly productive. And that's because of the favourable physical environment, which we're later going to compare with the Western region. Now, favourable physical environment, physical characteristics, good climate, cool tempered oceanic, 16 degrees Celsius in summer, 5 to 6 in winter, 270 days growing season, 750 millimetres on average of rainfall. So all these points is our physical characteristics, as well as our brown earth soils, our sandy loam soils. All these points we bring in because our examiner in this 2017 question has asked us to. But our new points, and I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. Now, my first thing about my new points really is my crops. I've mentioned 3 crops throughout this. Now, the crops we've mentioned, we've said it's due to the long growing season, the favourable natural environment and the good soils that these are produced. So, taking my first one in paragraph number 3, make sure you have the word barley highlighted. 2 types of barley is grown in the GDA as a result of its mild climate and deep fertile soils. The first one being malting barley. Now, malting barley is used in the brewing and distilling industry. So when we get on to our secondary economic activity, we're going to see it, we're going to use the same example for manufacturing for Guinness, okay? Barley, we also have our protein-rich barley. Okay, now protein-rich barley is used for animal feed, okay? So protein-rich animal feed. Now our next, I suppose, new point, and this is down in your 4th paragraph there, if you want to highlight it, is wheat production in the GDA. Now, 11% of the national wheat crop is produced within the GDA. And again, that's due to its long growing season, its fertile soils, and its low levels of ground frost. We also have 20% of the national potato crop grown in the GDA, grown in the region. Now, after that, when we scan down a little bit further, what we're going to see is that there's a huge emphasis on market gardening in the GDA, in particular in North County Dublin. Between two areas which are or includes Lusk and Rush, okay? So Lusk and Rush. Now, market gardening is extremely productive in the GDA and highly profitable. And in recent times, the shortage of workers has highlighted the importance of migrant workers in the area, okay? Because they need it's quite a labour intensive, although there's high levels of mechanisation, it's quite a labour intensive kind of, practice or, agricultural practice. So, 2 points to remember, that it's high yielding. Again, link physical characteristics, low ground frost, etc. And it's very profitable. Now, one other point to think back, if you've learned your physical characteristics correctly, you'll be thinking of the soil type in North County Dublin. You should be thinking of your sandy loam soils, okay, sandy loam soils, which are a mixture of your sand and brown earth. Now, sand and brown earth, which means there's free drainage and they heat up quickly when spring arrives. Now, following on from that, we have our types of pastoral farming. So the first one, which we actually mentioned in the last class, is sheep farming. Sheep farming mainly occurs in the Wicklow Mountains, okay? Again, I'm going to keep repeating the same points over 1,000 metres high at points. Now, why does sheep farming occur there? It's mainly due to their good balance, okay? Sheep have very good balance. But unfortunately, it's not very profitable. So unfortunately, sheep farming is actually not very profitable. Now, on the other hand, what you have in counties Meath and Kildare in particular is you have cattle rearing. So what actually occurs here is a lot of the time cattle are sent from the western region of Ireland to these rich, luscious soils in County Meath and County Kildare, and basically that is for fattening. So fattening before they're sent for slaughter. So here cattle rearing is for fattening. Now, that is our crops, market gardening, and pastoral. So each time we're mentioning each of these, we're linking up our physical characteristics, our upland relief, our lowland relief, and our fertile soils. We're mentioning fertile soils and perfect climate. Again, these are going to be linked up with your market gardening, as you'll see in your essay. Now, I'm going to take a second, maybe pause the video if you need to take this down in the space provided, wipe off the board, and I'm going to actually write down our next two sections, which is going to be the farm and the farmer. Okay guys, so we're going to move on from here. So what we have here is we have our farm and our farmers. So the 2 points to mention on these. Now, farmers in the GDA are actually quite big. So although there's quite a lot of urban areas within the GDA, and in particular, obviously, Dublin and urban sprawl is a point that we mention in this essay, farms here are quite big. So on average, they're approximately 44 hectares. Now, while that's being said, the GDA only contains approximately 1% or 1,500 farms. So which is actually quite a small proportion. But generally these farms are actually quite large in comparison to other regions. So it's very important to remember that. So while there's fewer, they're actually quite big, unlike the Western region where we'll see they're very, very fragmented, okay? Now, because of this, and I suppose farms, there's high levels of mechanisation because they're quite large and in lowland areas. So they're very, very productive. They're high yielding in these regions. Now, in relation to the farmer, farmers in the GDA tend to be quite the opposite to what you'll see in the Western region. So they tend to be younger and more innovative. So farmers in the GDA tend to be younger, so they tend to be younger than you'll see in the Western region. They tend to be more innovative, more educated, more willing to incorporate new ways of, or new technologies, new methods into their practice. Now, as a result of this, what we're seeing here is that incomes are 40% higher. So incomes are 40% higher than the national average for farmers as a result of that. Now, as we mentioned, they're very young, innovative, more educated, but also a good point to actually mention is they're market orientated. It's very much seen as a business, which helps profits. Now, that's our farm, that's our farmer. Now, one final point for me to mention is urban sprawl. Now, urban sprawl has massively, as you'll see later on, threatened agricultural land within the GDA. Now, urban sprawl is the uncontrollable spread of urban areas into our countryside. And it's important to remember that this is threatening agriculture, okay? So while the GDA contains some of the most fertile agricultural land in the country as a whole, oftentimes it's under threat and oftentimes it is lost as a result of that. So that's a good point to mention for your examiner at the very, very end. Now guys, what we've looked at there is our first primary economic activity, agriculture. Now, before we get to the next lesson, I actually want you by yourself to go to page number 11 and have a look down through fishing yourself. So before, I'll be taking a very, very quick glance at fishing the next day during the next lesson. So I want you to have a look at that beforehand. See, can you split up the main points from it? Now guys, remember, so important that we keep up to date. This hasn't come up in a while, so we'll be banking on a question like this in our exam. Lovely, lovely question, but you just have to sit down and to learn it. Okay, guys? Now, we'll see you, this is the end of lesson number 3, so we'll see you in lesson number 4. Bye, guys.